श्री नाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We're reading from seventh canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9, entitled Prahlad pacifies Lord Narasimhadev with prayers. Text 18. Soham priyasya suhrida paradevataya. Soham priyasya suhrida paradevataya. Leela katastava narasimha virincha gita. अंजस्थितार्मि अनुगृणन् गुणविप्रमुक्तो दुर्गानि ते पदयुगालय हंससङ्गा सोऽहं प्रियस्य सुहृद परदेवताय लीलाकतस्तव नरसिंह विरिञ्च गीता अंजस्थितार्मि अनुगृणन् गुणविप्रमुक्तो दुर्गानि ते पदयुगालय हंससङ्गा सोऽहं प्रियस्य सुहृदा परदेवताय लीलाकतस्तव नरसिंह विरिञ्च गीताः अंजस्थितार्मि अनुगृणन् गुणविप्रमुक्तो दुर्गानि ते पदयुगालय हंससङ्गा. Anyone like to recite? सोऽहं प्रियस्य सुहृदा परदेवताय लीलाकतस्तव नरसिंह विरिञ्च गीता अंजस्थितार्मि अनुगृणन् गुणविप्रमुक्तो दुर्गानि ते पदयुगालय हंससङ्गा. सोऽहं प्रियस्य सुहृदा परदेवताय लीलाकतस्तव नरसिंह विरिञ्च गीता अंजस्थितार्मि अनुगृणन् गुणविप्रमुक्तो दुर्गानि ते पदयुगालय हंससङ्गा. माताजी. सोऽहं प्रियस्य सुहृदा परदेवताय लीलाकतस्तव नरसिंह विरिञ्च गीता अंजस्थितार्मि अनुगृणन् गुणविप्रमुक्तो Durga nite padayugalaya hamsa sanga. Word to word meaning. Saha, that. Aham, I, Prahlad Maharaj. Priyasya, of the dearmost. Suhrida, well-wisher. Paradevataya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Leela Katha, narrations of the pastimes. Tava, your. Narasimha, O my Lord Narasimha Dev. Virincha Geetaha, given by Lord Brahma by the disciplic succession. Anjaha, easily. Titarmi, I shall cross. Anugranan, constantly describing. Guna, by the modes of material nature. Vipramuktaha, specifically being uncontaminated. Durgani, all miserable conditions of life. Te, of you. Pada Yuga Alaya, fully absorbed in meditation on the lotus feet. Hamsa Sangaha, having the association of the Hamsas or liberated persons. In parentheses, Srila Prabhupada writes, who have no connection with material activities. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O my Lord Narasimhadev, by engaging in your transcendental living service in the association of devotees who are liberated souls, Hamsas, I shall become completely uncontaminated by the association of three modes of material nature and be able to chant your glories of your lordships who are so dear to me. I shall chant your glories, following exactly in the footsteps of Lord Brahma and his disciplic succession. In this way, I shall undoubtedly be able to cross the ocean of nescience. Purport. A devotee's life and duty are very well explained herein. As soon as a devotee can chant the holy name and glories of the Supreme Lord, he certainly comes to the liberated position. Attachment for glorifying the Lord by hearing and chanting the holy name and activities of the Lord, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, certainly brings one to the position where material contamination is absent. One should chant the bona fide songs received from the disciplic succession. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the chanting is powerful when one follows the disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam imam raja rishayo viduho. Manufacturing so many ways of chanting will never be effective. However, chanting the song or the narration left by the previous acharyas, Mahajano yena gata sapantaha, is extremely effective. And this process is very easy. Therefore, in this verse, Prahlad Maharaj uses the word anjaha, easily. Accepting the thoughts of exalted authorities through disciplic succession is certainly much easier than the method of mental speculation, by which one tries to invent some means to understand the absolute truth. The best process is to accept the instructions of the previous acharyas and follow them. Then God realization and self realization become extremely easy. By following this method, one is liberated from the contamination of the material modes of nature, and thus one can certainly cross the ocean of nescience, in which there are many miserable conditions. By following in the footsteps of great acharyas, one associates with the Hamsas or Paramahamsas, those who are completely freed from material contamination. Indeed, by following the instructions of the acharyas, one is always freed from all material contamination, and thus one's life becomes successful, for one reaches the goal of life. This material world is miserable regardless of one's standard of life. Of this, there is no doubt. Attempts to mitigate the miseries of material existence by material methods will never be successful. One must take to Krishna consciousness to become really happy. Otherwise, happiness is impossible. One might say that becoming advanced in spiritual life also involves tapasya, voluntary acceptance of some inconvenience. However, such inconvenience is not as dangerous as material attempts to mitigate all miseries. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचलं पंगुं लंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्. Hare Krishna. So I'd like to welcome all the devotees for today morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. And we are discussing the continued teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. It's very interesting. A small, young 5-year-old boy is speaking philosophy of life. So we are like kind of like sitting in Prahlad Maharaj's classroom, and he's like the teacher, and we are kind of like listening from a 5-year-old teacher. How interesting is that? In today's modern society, there's a famous small young boy on social media who speaks tattvas about life. Small young boy, he speaks in Hindi, and he's becoming a fan all over across India, many places. People want to visit his location to see him. So attractive to see a small boy speaking philosophy. And like Prabhupada says, small children and old people, you can get away with speaking anything. You know, you can speak directly, you can speak heavily. People will kind of like, they feel it, but they won't hold you accountable for it. So here's this. So it's very attractive that Prahlad Maharaj is speaking. So this verse here, well, actually in yesterday's verse, he spoke how that Lord Narashima, all that I want is your service, Dasya Yogam. His Grace Rasik Raman Prabhu spoke about Bhoga Yoga and Dasya Yoga. So he said, I want Dasya Yogam, I want devotional service. Please teach me the methods of bhakti. And therefore, Narashima, hearing this, he kind of says that, oh, you want to serve me? Why? Because you want to get rid of miseries of life? You can find some other ways to get miseries. In other words, why are you approaching me? Why are you hankering after Dasya Yogam? You just want to get a relief from your own sufferings? Kind of selfish, isn't it? So Prahlad Maharaj feels, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining this internal mood. He's feeling not offended, but he's saying with pride and full of anger, my lord, what do you think of me? So he replies, I am the famous servant of Narada. Hamsa, he quotes, Hamsa Sangaha. I am the famous servant of Narada. I, Prahlad. I don't want jnana, I don't want gyan, I don't want karma. Just by chanting your glories, my lord, Tava, Leela Katha, I can surpass the gunas, Tirtami Gunan. So why you talk about suffering? I'm not bothered about suffering. Narashima says, but one sees devotees also suffer. Prahlad Maharaj says nothing like that. Quickly, I will cross tirtami. Quickly I'll cross over all the means of separation. The great separation of suffering is Durgani. Durgani here means separation from you. That is the real suffering that I feel. And I will get your mercy. And this can be happen very anjaha, very easily. Because why? I will follow in the footsteps of those who have settled at your lotus feet. Those who have made your lotus feet as their abodes. Those who have made residence at your lotus feet. So we see now Govardhan, and in Govardhan, in Mathura also, many devotees go by and they make small houses out of stones, right? They keep stacking stones. Some people have a 2-story apartment. Some people have a 3-story apartment. Some people have a huge villa, isn't it? So they all have desires, whatever. So they all desire ultimately to rest or to stay. Mama nija nikata nivasam dehi govardhanastvam. Give me residence, Lord Govardhan, Krishna, at your lotus feet. So here Prahlad is saying, those who have nestled themselves in the lotus feet of the Lord, I take shelter of such people. And therefore, people like Brahma, he says, who are glorifying you, I follow their prayers, I serve them. Therefore, because they are already connected to you, they will bring me to you. This is the confidence of Prahlad Maharaj. Okay. And he says, why? Because you are the Priyasya, Suhrda, Paradevata. The first 3 lines. Vishnu Chakravarti says this is addressing 3 kinds of people. Priyasyas are those who are following Madhurya Rasa. And Suhrda are those who are following Sakya Rasa, friendship. And Paradevataya are those who are following Dasya Rasa. And Prahlad Maharaj says, like me, he's in Dasya Yogam. He wants that servitude. So he's saying, you are the master of all kinds of devotees, and therefore I serve such devotees, and they very easily bring me towards you. So this verse in today is particularly explaining how just by chanting the holy names and the pastimes, Tava Leela Katha, especially in accordance to great devotees like Brahma and Parampara, one can very easily overcome all the gunas, all the 3 modes, and attain the lotus feet of the Lord. This is the emphasis of this verse. So Srila Prabhupada gives very beautiful insights into the purport. We'll look at some lines and we'll discuss a bit more. Prabhupada starts by saying, a devotee's life and duty is very well explained here. Right? If someone is confused about what should I do in life, how should I do it in life, Prabhupada says their life goal is already explained in this verse. What is that? Tava Leela Katha. To chant or to glorify the Lord's Leela Kathas in accordance to the Acharyas or Sampradaya. Prabhupada says, as soon as a devotee chants and glorifies the Supreme Lord, he comes to the liberated position. Can you imagine? New person coming in, Hare Krishna, comes up to the liberated position. So many verses glorify this. Many verses of the holy name glorifies this. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, there's a beautiful verse which mentions Apanna samsmritim goran yannama vivashogranan tata sadhyo vimucheta yadbhibheti swayambayam. Apanna samsmritim goran. Okay, so the sages, they say that from this very stuck world, apanna samsmritim ghoram, this very scary, horrible material world which we are stuck in, yannama vivasho granan. Anyone who takes the holy name, vivasho, unknowingly, uncontrollably. Vasha means to control, vivasha means without control. Just on a fluke, as they say, on a fluke, if someone just takes the holy name. Tato sadhyo vimucheta, immediately that person is liberated. So this is the power and the potency and the glorification. Now hearing this, we may seem like it's kind of a stretch, isn't it? Someone just comes in, says Hare Krishna, and he's already liberated. But the Bhagavatam says no, because immediately his devotional account starts. So tato sadhyo vimucheta yad bibeti swayam bayam. Because even fear is fearful. Fear personified is fearful when the holy name is chanted. That's how much potency the holy name is. So Prabhupada says that one should have attachment for hearing and glorifying the holy name and the holy fame or the holy pastimes of the Lord, by which one's contamination in life will go away. Another verse that comes, so we talk about the first canto. Now let's talk about the 12th canto. Very systematic throughout the whole Bhagavatam, glorification of the holy name. In 12th canto, they mention that the holy name is so powerful, it is so powerful, it can purify anyone's condition. But sadly, Kali Yuga Vasis, or the people of Kali Yuga, are not interested to chant the holy name. So there's a nice verse which comes in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 44th verse. Yannamadeya miryamana atura patan skalanva vivasho granan puman. Whoever takes the name miryamana, dying, with some atura, with some enthusiasm, patan skalanva, whether they're falling down, whether they're slipping, vivasho granan puman, whether they, unknowingly they pick up the name, Vimukta karma argala uttamam gatim. He becomes free from the shackles of karma, reactions, sufferings. Uttamam gatim. And he gets the topmost position. But unfortunately, prapnoti yakshanti natam kalau jana. But the kalau jana, the kalau janis or the kalau vasis, the people of Kali Yuga don't want to worship that holy name. Although the holy name can do all this, Kali Yuga people are not interested. Like when we have healthy food, people still want to eat junk food, right? You have healthy, nice, organic food, and still people still want to eat junk food. So Kali Yuga people have that junking tendency. Prabhupada then continues to say in the purport, one should chant the bona fide songs received in disciplic succession. So we are very lucky with our Gaudiya Sampradaya, especially the Parampara that comes through great souls like Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada. We have a lot of bhajans, right? So I was just discussing with some devotees, For example, Prasad prayer. Prasad is very important for all of us, and we don't deny it, and we are not ashamed to express it. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written 6 songs to pray while taking prasad. Okay, and all specified. So, for example, if you're eating shark, if you're eating greens, vegetables, so then we have that Eka Dina Shanti Pure, Prabhu Advaita Ghare. In Advaita Acharya's house, Sachimata made innumerable shark or green leafy vegetables. So that's the meditation. If you're going to eat that, that's the song you're going to sing. He wrote a song if you're going to honor Khichdi. Probably we should have it playing outside Avana Kshetra. I don't know. Suggestion. But this is eating Khichdi in Jagannath Puri. Jagannath's Khichdi. If you're eating that, this is a meditation song. He wrote a song if you're going to just eat sweet meats. If you're going to have sandesh, rasagulla, just sweets. There's a meditation for that. He wrote a song meditating on the Balya Bhog. Balya Bhog is the morning bhoga which closes at 7:20, opens at 7:45. Just for that bhoga, there's a meditation. How Mother Yashoda and Rohini would feed the young 2 boys, Krishna and Balaram, nicely because they're going to go out for cow herding. There's a meditation on that. If you're going to eat banana flour sabji, that's very specific. Mochakonda. If you're going to eat banana flour sabji, there's a meditation on that. Okay, so in this way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given all the bona fide songs. We don't have to look here and there. There's so many bhajans, so many songs in our parampara. We are very fortunate. Prabhupada stresses on parampara. So we know in Padma Purana is a very famous saying, kind of like every ISKCON devotee after coming to ISKCON, hearing this, we're like, yeah, Sampradaya, isn't it? Parampara. And we kind of, I remember when we were in Vrindavan recently for the yatra, many boys were with me and they're, Prabhuji, which Sampradaya is him from? Which Parampara is they from? Prabhuji, where do they come from? I was like, my God, you guys are so ISKCON, So start pointing out which Parampara, which one. So famous verse from Padma Puran. Sampradaya vihina ye mantraste vifala matah ataf akalu bhavishyanti chatvara sampradayinah Sri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnava Shiti Pavanah Chatvaraste kalau bhavya hi utkale purushotamat. So these Vaishnavas who come in the Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Shri Sampradaya, and the Chatuskuma Sampradaya, they are Shiti Pavana. They purify the earth by their presence. And all of these personalities, Padma Purana says, will appear or will stem from by the desire of Purushottama, Purushottamat, by the desire of Purushottam, which is Jagannath, from Utkala Desha. Where is Utkala Desha? Jagannath Puri, Odisha. Right? So, many of our extended Saraswat Gaudiya family, the disciples and the followers of Saraswati Thakur, we understand and we believe He Utkalat Purushottamat. This word to mean the appearance of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who appeared in Jagannath Puri, who spread the quintessence essence of the philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Achintya Bheda Bhetattva, all over. So they attribute this He Utkalat Purushottamat because he is one of the Vaishnavas, Shitipavanaha, whose his appearance purified the whole world. It's not, of course, an ordinary task which Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did. If you study his lifetime, you will see that practically he re-established Vaishnavism on a large scale by finding out, researching. His first visit to South India was with a friend who was a Mayavadi. But because he knew South India, so he took him along. Can you imagine Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the lion guru, traveling with the Mayavadi to South India? How much tolerance he must have had, But he had to see the place. So he visited around 6 times South India to understand, what is Vaishnavism and how to frame the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It's very beautiful. So, Baladev Vidyabhushan, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, who is our middle-age Acharya. We have the early Acharyas who are the 6 Goswamis, then the Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivas Acharya, they come afterwards. And after a couple of 100 years, the middle-aged Acharyas come again to re-establish Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baladev Vidyabhushan. They are the middle-aged Acharyas. Then the current Acharyas come in. So Baladev Vidyabhushan, in his commentary to the Vedanta Sutra, his Prameya Ratnavali, he has given the whole Sampradaya, which we are so fortunate sitting here in Govardhan Eco Village. If you go take darshan in Vaishnava Memorial, right, you'll see the beautiful Parampara, starting from Krishna all the way down to Srila Prabhupada. So this Parampara up to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given by Baladev Vidyabhushan in his writings. So he quotes, Sri Krishna, Brahma, Devarishi, Bhadrayana, Samyakan, Sri Madhva, Sri Padmanabha, Sriman, Nirhari Madhavan, Akshobhya Jaya Tirtha, Shri Jnana Sindhuya Nidin, Sri Vidya Nidhi Rajendra, Jaya Dharman Kramadvayam. He gives so on and so forth. So we know the background of Baladev Vidyabhushan. He himself was connected with the Madhva Sampradaya. So he was giving the link how the Madhvas become the Gaudiyas. And from this up to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanyam Bhajamahe Sri Krishna Prema. It came all the way down to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who gave this Krishna Prema to everyone. Yena Nistaritam Jagat, by which he delivered the whole world. Now, what about the Parampara after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his famous Bengali bhajan, right? Krishna hoite chaturmukha, hoi Krishna sevonmukha, Brahma hoite narade ramati. He starts from Krishna and he gives in a Bengali version the parampara from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to himself. Right? He gives that connection. So this is very authentic to the bhajans. We understand our lineage in one sense also. Prabhupada then continues to say that this is the easy method. Okay? And accepting the thoughts of exalted authorities through disciplic succession is much easier than mental speculation. Accepting is easier than mental speculation, by which one tries to invent some means to understand the Lord. So in today's day and age, there's a lot of mental speculation, especially in spirituality. Well, in all fields, if not, but spirituality especially, there's a lot of mental speculation. We see also, we hear also. For example, one example is people who invent mantras. So someone may seem to them logically that is just a repetition of words. You have Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So what's the big fuss if I kind of make it, Krishna Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna. If I kind of reverse it and that's the mantra that I chant, I feel this is more potent. What's the wrong in that, Logically, it may seem that nothing wrong. Isn't it? Instead of saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, let's go with Krishna Hare. I'm messing up myself. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Isn't it? What's wrong in that? But we may say, no, Prabhu, that's speculation there. You can't do that. But why? Doesn't it seem so logical? Doesn't it seem so right? It's just a repetition of words. But Prabhupada says, no, we should be very careful not to invent. People invent methods of deity worship. People invent method of approaching the Lord. People invent different forms of the Lord. Right? If you have a little Krishna, then you have a little Radha. Right? So different moods and all are coming in. With this, I remember one story from the Panchatantras. How invention or mental speculation can be very dangerous. So it's a nice story from the Panchatantras. So once there was a weaver. Weaver means a guy who makes cloth. And he was sitting at his machine and he was doing his weaving. And as he was weaving one day, you have seen how it clasps very hard to weave the cloth. And as he was weaving, that piece broke. That wooden frame broke. It crashed. And the weaver is saying, oh, this is my livelihood. This is my bread and butter. Now I have to fix it immediately. Else how will I make cloth? How will I weave? So he picked up an axe and went to the forest to find the suitable wood to fix his weaving machine. I don't know what you call it. Anyways, weaving machine. He's walking in the forest, walking, and he's looking at different trees and he's saying, nah, this doesn't work. No, that doesn't work. And finally, after so long, he found a perfect tree. He picks up his axe and he's ready to chop it. The flow chops. Suddenly, there's a voice that comes out. A yaksha, a forest spirit, which lives in that area, suddenly appeared. He's saying, oh, dear human, please don't cut down this tree. This is my home. Let me live. This tree is my home. Don't cut it down. Then the weaver says, what are you? You look like a ghost. You look like a spirit. He said, I'm a yaksha, a forest spirit. He says, but I need to cut this wood, else how will I fix my machine? How will my children eat? They will starve. They will die. The yaksha says, but this is my home. Let me also live. Oh dear human, please listen to me. If you allow me to live, I will give you a boon. Yakshas have some magical powers. Some parts of the world and India also, people go to the edge of the forests. Like I've seen in our culture in Kerala, they go to, in Karnataka also, they go to southern Karnataka, at least. They'll go to the edge of the forest and they'll worship these yakshaganas. Because they have forest spirits who can give you some benediction. He said, I'll give you a material benediction. So we thought, this is interesting. Now what do I ask for? He said, can I go home and consult my wife and friends? And I'll get back to you. Kind of smart guy, isn't it? Yaksha said, yes, go back. Please let me live. You come back. Whatever you desire, I will give it to you. So the weaver goes home, and while walking home, he enters his small township, his city. He sees his best friend, a barber. Okay, hairdresser, barber. And he asks him, hey, today I was going to get some wood. I was going to cut a tree and I met a yaksha. And the yaksha promised me to give me a boon of my desire. What do you think I should ask for? And the barber hears it and barber says, wow, you're so fortunate. Ask for a kingdom. Become a king so you can enjoy. And I can become your prime minister. Enjoy. So the weaver was thinking, wow, not too bad, isn't it? Become a king. And I wish for a kingdom and I'll have a minister, my best friend. Kind of nice. He says, yeah, good. But you know what? I think I should ask my wife. This is a smart thing on married men. Check with the missus first. So he says, let me check with the missus and I'll get back to you. And the barber is like, don't ask women. Women can't give good advice. This is Shastra. Sorry. So I'm just repeating. So women can't give good advice. All they think about is themselves. She won't give you any good advice. Don't ask her. But the weaver was like, no. He's probably faced this problem before. I don't know. So he said, no, I'll still check with the missus and I'll make a decision. So he goes home and he tells his wife, my dear wife, I was going to get wood to fix this. And I met a yaksha. And she's like, oh, yeah. And I met my friend, the barber, by the way. And the barber, what he advised me? The barber said, I should become a king and I can enjoy many riches. And what the wife says, don't listen to that barber. Never trust servants, slaves, and barbers. They say anything. The wife was saying this, So he said, then what should I ask for? The wife thinks, my dear husband, just see, with our one machine, you're able to make one cloth. And by selling this one cloth, we make our ends meet. If we are able to have another machine and produce another cloth simultaneously, one cloth we can sell to meet our means, another cloth we can sell as our savings. And husband is thinking, my wife is so smart, right? So what should we do? We should find a means where we can produce two cloths at one time. My dear husband, I have an idea. All of you are smiling. Do you know the idea? You've not heard Panchatantra, okay. So, my dear husband, I have an idea. And he's like, what, my dear wife? What you have said so far makes so much sense to me. Ask for extra pair of hands and an extra head so that you can weave two cloths at one time. And he was like, wow, that's amazing. Two heads, four hands, taka, taka, taka at the same time. Brilliant. And he says, this is absolutely brilliant. I can sell one cloth, make my ends meet, sell another cloth, make two cloths at a time. Isn't it? Seems so logical, isn't it? So he went out to the forest, runs and sees the Yaksha, and he says, Yaksha, I know what I want, I know what I want. He said, what do you want? I want two heads. I want two hands. Give me another head, another hand at the back, so that I can always work in front and work at the back. Isn't it? Efficiency. Those who own companies and our directors or managers, please don't wish for this from your workers. Right? Put two laptops and work on this program, work on that program. Doesn't work that way. So he goes to the Yaksha, and Yaksha is saying, what? What kind of benediction is this? Are you foolish? Have you seen anyone in the world who has two heads, four hands? No, I don't care. This is logical to me. Give me. Well, Yaksha says, there you go. Utatasu, whatever he says. He says, and next thing you know, the man has two hands with a head in the front, another head and a pair of hands at the back, and he's walking, coming home, thinking, yeah, I'm going to weave two cloths. The moment he enters his town, the moment he enters his city, everybody of that city is looking at him like a freak. God, who is this? Must be some kind of a demon. Who has four hands, two heads? Must be some kind of demon, and the villagers become scared and worried. They've never seen anything concocted like this before, although seeming so logical to the weaver. And they start attacking the weaver, throwing stones on him, beating him, and they killed him. He died for his speculation. So this is a story that, there are many lessons from this story. But one thing we can see how someone thinking, this is a very real option, and but he chose something so speculative, although seemingly very fruitful, seeming nothing wrong. Everyone has a hand, everyone has a head. So if I just want to do, instead of Hare Krishna, let me go with Krishna Hare. Right? Seems so right. But outside the society, but such new ideas may not be sometimes very safe. So ISKCON, in our movement, in our society, there are many revolutionaries, people with new ideas, new avenues, We are not against change, I would say. Very open adaptation. We should do it with caution. We should do it with blessings. Next week, we are going to have the GBC college here. One of their topic is always change versus tradition. This is a very important discussion and understanding we should have in ISKCON. How much we should be very stuck with decision and how much we should be also open to change. Both are important. So a person having such adaptive ideas, revolutionary ideas, they should not bulldoze their way with the ideas. Although it may seem good. We have seen many examples in ISKCON. People who have a very different idea altogether, but they are so, how you say, headstrong meaning very stubborn with the idea. They end up being alone. They end up being functioning outside the movement. It is just them, they and their vision. And outside the society is very difficult to progress, very difficult to function. It's not sustainable. So Srila Prabhupada continues to mention in the purport, follow the footsteps of great acharyas, associate with the Paramahamsas, right? Srila Prabhupada himself is a revolutionary. His Guru Maharaj is also a revolutionary. But all their adaptations, if you look at it, their adaptations were centered around the teachings of Rupa Goswami, centered around the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not only did they mention and refer it, but they also promoted it, publicized it. So they talk about the origin. Nowadays, when people do an invention, they kind of focus on them and their invention. And they just may refer, but they don't talk about the source of their inspiration. Like I say, I'm doing this based on the teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In one shloka, I read this. Yeah, this is that. Just referring to it. But people like our Srila Prabhupada and his Guru Maharaj, they again and again re-emphasize and let people read the whole works. So, an Acharya is expert at this. So Prabhupada continues to say in the purport, attempts to mitigate the miseries of material existence by material methods will never be successful. This is picking up from yesterday's verse, Dukkaushadam, Dukkaushadam tat api dukkam atad dhyanam. That the solution to one problem is more miserable than the solution to a problem is more miserable than the problem itself. Right? And yesterday, I think Rasik Raman beautifully gave so many examples, current examples about this. Srila Prabhupada ends the purport by saying, one must stick to Krishna consciousness to become happy, otherwise happiness is impossible. Prabhupada says that spiritual life also involves some tapasya, there's hardships, some inconvenience, definitely it's there. But the inconvenience and hardships endured in spiritual life, it is not dangerous. But in material life, by using mental speculation, trying to overcome, it's very difficult. Like nowadays, because of some um, financial desires, people invent different ways of increasing wealth. Prabhupada mentions the gold standard exchange, where gold was the medium of currency that has become now as currency, paper currency as we know. This has now become digital currency, where all your money is just digits and numbers. You don't feel the wealth, you just see the wealth. Numbers going up, yay. Numbers coming down, oh. It's just throwing numbers at people. Let me give you 5 digits. Then you have extra 5 digits now. So it's all just a digital currency. Then in between, people created this Bitcoin and all. Again, digital currency, stock market, inflation, shares, investments. Right? These are all just playing with the economy. But it is tapasya, definitely. It's a hardship on whoever's running this. But it's very dangerous because it's trying to mitigate material miseries using a material method. Right? And therefore, we see a lot of people getting stuck in financial scams, a lot of people getting stuck in whatnots, and it leads to suicide and depression because it's just a material means trying to overcome a material problem. So, property is very dangerous. Spiritual solution is the best. So, I'll just summarize what we saw today. This verse, Srila Prahlad Maharaj is speaking how, my dear Nalashima, I am very confident to do your Dasya Yogam, to join your yoga school. We have a lot of yoga schools going on right now. So in your Dasya Yoga, the only asana or whatever I'm going to do is Leela Katha. I'm going to glorify your pastimes and your holy names, by which I can very easily cross the material modes. By crossing the modes, I cross suffering. Right? Because I take shelter of your devotees, the Paramahamsas, who have nestled themselves at your lotus feet. So therefore, I'm very confident of this. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes how mental speculation is extremely dangerous. One should follow Parampara. So we saw how our Parampara was given by Baladev Vidya Bhushan, carried on further by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saroj Thakur. And we are so fortunate we have the whole illustrated version in our Vaishnava memorial, where you can see the whole Parampara and all the great Vaishnavas. We saw how the holy name is so powerful. Even if anyone chant once, they immediately become liberated. We saw the importance of following Parampara and taking shelter of Acharyas. I gave an example of Bhakti Vinod Thakur and the amount of bhajans that he has written. One book has over 50 bhajans on different things, so specific, 6 types of prasadam prayers. Right? We saw an example of that. We saw how Baladev Vidya Bhushan quotes the Parampara, of which one line comes, He Utkalat Purushottamat, kind of hinting to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance. to take forward this mission. We saw how the dangers of mental speculation is that through a story from the Panchatantra of the poor weaver who got 2 heads and 4 hands and then later beaten to death. What he to him seemed logically and what seemed very natural to him, but was a monstrosity, as they would say. It was a monstrosity to society, a person having 2 heads and 4 hands, and he was killed by it. Prabhupada mentions the best process is to take shelter of the acharyas, the hamsas, the paramahamsas, and trying to mitigate material problems with material means will never work. Dukkaushadam tadapi dukkam atadhyanam. We also saw how the importance of change and tradition both are needed. And we saw how our acharyas themselves are revolutionaries, but they always kept the teachings in this middle, in the center, and they also publicized and spoke about them. So, in this way, we end our class, which is describing of Paramahamsas and Parampara. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you very much for your patient learning. Hare Krishna.